What is up? What is up, Tramalord Nation? Olá! Estou aqui para checar nos vídeos. Com licença. Olha aí o metal, meu.
In an industry as competitive as big money games,
Eu, quando vi o título deste vídeo, achei que ia ser uma coisa interessante. Achas que vai ser interessante também, Toga? O tema? Sabes o que é que eu estive a fazer? Estive a ver metade do Lord of the Ring. Lords of the Ring? Lord of the Rings? Amanhã vejo outra metade. Era bem, ele estava com merdas tipo In the World, não sei o quê. He's probably gonna have a point. Everybody does. Vou espetar isto. Bem, só que isto. Boop. Tá bom.
In an industry as competitive as big money games, the search is always on for the next big thing. And I feel like we're primed for a next big thing right about now. I'm prepared to say the Dark Souls era is winding down. I, for one, am certainly bored of that kind of thing. I tried Thymesia last week and it...
Vai ter que fazer algum esforço para me convencer. Pois, isto é o teu género preferido e depois quando este género... Se este género morrer, vais ficar tipo... nada me convence, certo?
mainly just made me depressed. I'm ready for the industry to latch on to a new electrifying sea change in popular game design. Now all we need is for one to come along. I'm occasionally asked what I think the next big thing is going to be, and I've usually resorted to my standard evasive asshole response that if anyone could predict the next big thing, we'd all be rich. But you know...
Boa noite, Watson, tudo bem?
What's the point in spending most of your professional life being a games journalist and assembling reams of useless knowledge about gaming if you can't use that to make an educated guess now and then? So let's think about it. There's one fairly surefire method to deduce what's about to be big in AAA games, and that's to look at what's currently big in indie games.
É o Dark Souls.
AAA can always rely on the indie sphere when it needs a few good ideas to steal. And if there's one thing that has struck me as
Dark
getting more
Soul.
and more prevalent in indie games lately, it's what I'm choosing to call cozy games. Games with low narrative stakes, gameplay usually leaning more on completion.
Como é que ela se chama? A Lu estava a jogar isto, não era? Aquele de arrumar a casa?
And task management than on reflex skill challenge, a gentler, understated tone, and a general air of niceness and friendship. Often with a pleasing, cartoonish art style that wouldn't look out of place in some inexpensively made Cartoon Network series. To cite some examples, I recently played Bear and Breakfast, which I would just about call the perfect storm of cozy game tropes, and I'd also include Power Wash Simulator, Unpacking, Dinkum, Nighttime at Porsche, Spiritfarer, Haven...
Já pensei em jogar o Power Wash, whatever. Mas estou a ver este movimento. Sabem que jogo é que eu arranjei, que quero muito jogar, que deve ser chill? É este, olha. É este, sim, é este, é o Tekken 7. Não, porque eu gosto muito do Tekken 7. Não, é este, é o The Pathless. Este deve ser super chill, já arranjei. Não importa, continua.
Stardew Valley to go back a bit.
Movement-based
I can also cite
games.
several games that borrow elements of the cozy game while not fitting the full profile. Hardspace Shipbreaker has cozy tidying up gameplay but a slightly intense setting and plot themes. Citizen Sleeper has cozy character art and understated tone but again a grittier setting. The Witness, which we were all recently reminded of by the slightly late to the party parody game, The Looker, has a cozy air but more mentally challenging puzzle-based core gameplay. And then there's...
Pá, não chegou um ponto em que os puzzles... Oh, Toga, não chegou a um ponto em que aqueles puzzles estavam a ser um exagero e nós cagamos? Viscera Cleanup Detail. Acho que já ouvi falar disso uma vez. Spells da Witness tornam-se ridículos. Pois.
There's Stray. Stray is something from the AAA adjacent realms that seems to have hit a nerve because it's a game about playing an adorable kitty witty. And I know what you're going to say, oh, that's hardly it.
Eu tenho o meu take deste jogo, só gostava que este jogo fosse mais. Tivesse mais polish, que é o maior strength destes andar games, é quando o mundo está cheio de detalhezinhos. E eu sinto que este tem muitos, mas não tem suficientes. Tem cenas tipo meteres a cabeça do gato num saco e os controles ficarem ao contrário, por exemplo. Isso é giro. Mas sinto que precisava de mais. Se calhar as animações do gato precisavam de ser ainda melhores. Coisas assim. Mas isso é só a minha opinião. Overall, eu acho que é um jogo fixe e recomendo. E é worth it.
A cozy game, yeah? It's a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk adventure full of thrills and spills and daring escapes and shit. Yes, but here's the thing, viewer. When they talk about it, people aren't calling it the cyberpunk action-adventure game or the thrills and spills game. They're calling it the cat game. The
True.
game with the cat in it. It's not the
Yes.
setting or the slightly insipid...
With the dedicated meow button. Vai jogar um Sierra Adventure Game? para teres um guide ao lado, senão o jogo. Senão, tens de ter um guide ao lado e 2 convém ir fazendo saves, não é? Para não fazeres hard lock a ti próprio.
Insipid hunt the next contextual button prompt gameplay that's made it stand out. It's the fact that you play an adorable cat. And
E eu penso, é pena nesses jogos, porque é tipo. Se é para. Se é para isso, estás mesmo a jogar o jogo? I don't know. Questions.
people want to
Whatever.
watch themselves curl up and have a little sleepy. Not that cozy games are a new phenomenon. Minecraft's definitely got cozy qualities, and that's been a big thing for yonks. Harvest Moon and The Sims would be good old school examples. Little Computer People if you like your schools to be as old as possible. But I definitely think we're in the midst of a significant wave of the buggers in the world of indie games, and they seem to have arguably shed their image of being games for casuals, babies, girls, and girl babies. It's fairly easy to theorise on what might be driving the rise of cozy games. I don't think it would be controversial to say we live in somewhat troubled times. A lot of people are pessimistic for the future and stricken by a sense of being powerless to do anything about it. And if you'll forgive a little speculative amateur psychology, I think when people dealing with such feelings turn to video games to alleviate them, they're looking for one of two things. One, power fantasy, which they'll find no end of. That's probably why boomer shooters have also become popular, thinking about it. Or two, escapism. They want to escape from unsettling reality with something that will assure them that everything's fine and it'll all turn out okay. Stop flinching at news headlines and come and water some fucking flowers. So that would be my advice for AAA games looking to know where the wind's blowing. We may well be entering the age of the cozy game. But this information is completely fucking useless to you, isn't it? Because AAA is incapable of cozy, and it's their own stupid fault. They're the ones who set the systems for AAA development up this way, who insist that their games must have spectacle, action, top-of-the-range graphics, and $100 million budgets with flashy trailers to hypnotize all the dumbos in the audience, all of which is more or less antithetical to the cozy game aesthetic. $100 million games are incapable of being understated and chill. 500 people being worked to death in crunch time are in no position to make a stress-relieving game. What would you even spend all that money on if not flashy action sequences? Making hyper-realistic wisps of steam come off the mugs of hot cocoa? That's not going to convince anyone to buy a GeForce RTX 3080.
True.
If cozy, understated games are the next big thing and the AAA studios can't get in on it because they've gotten too big and only know how to make samey combat arenas, I would find that absolutely fucking delicious. It'd be like watching an obnoxious fat person struggling to get out of a beanbag chair while his dog steals his meatball
Se quiserem ver isto, basta visitarem-me. I do have a beanbag. The Superbook.
Sandwich. But beware, Indiesphere, the rich cunts will find a way in sooner or later. It's already starting. Disney have a game coming out soon called Disney Dreamlight Valley that's basically a cozy life sim game with a bunch of copyrighted characters in it. It seems like it would be of interest to absolutely no one except those terrifying...
Oh, yeah, I'll do it again. Murder. Podes usar o Goofy e fazer mass murder neste parque. Isso para mim seria a minha definição de cozy. I'll do it again. Tenho tudo. Sou como a Floribela. Olha! Sou mesmo como a Floribela. Também, olha, também se caga ali no hall de entrada.
People you hear about who still want to go to Disneyland by themselves past the age of 14, but it's a sign that the corporate vultures are circling. Better get your pixel art unicorn fly fishing game out sooner rather than later. You know what this all makes me think of? The way video games are portrayed in movies and TV shows. For the longest time, whenever someone was playing a game in a movie, they'd always be playing with the controller up to their face and with the TV making 8-bit bip and boop sound effects, even way into the modern era of gaming. Then video games exploded in popularity and movies start wanting to be down with the cool kids. And now these days, if someone games in a movie, it's usually something like Gears of War.
Claro.
I just like to picture some executive bursting into the youth club with their new movie going, finally, we're depicting games the way they really are. And all the kids turn around and they're all playing pony stroking simulators or whatever. I just like picturing that scenario. And then I like picturing the executive taking his hat off and stamping on it and making frustrated noises like...
Isto é o chapéu do Dastardly. Motley, do something!
Dick Dastardly.
Oh, he said it. Não fiquei convencido. Coitado do Toga. Ele só quer que todos os jogos sejam no Dark Souls.
Hey all, Scott here.
Hey, eu andava para ver isto há algum tempo, mas não consigo ver isto sozinho.
You may be interested to know how that, alongside the other 84 letters of the alphabet, came to be. I don't mean to brag, but let's just say I couldn't ethically
Os combos do
be the inventor of
Rumbleverse.
the
What
alphabet.
the fuck?
That's right. My great uncle.
Ok, agora que eu sei que tu deves estar cansado do dia de trabalho que tiveste hoje. Como é que foram os vossos dias de trabalho? Menos o do Watson, que o Watson ainda está de férias. Andaste de karts?
Uncle Ed. That's where the letter E came from. He invented letters. Why did he do it? Well, he was getting frustrated not being able to name things.
Passeio de barco. Lamau. Isso é muito cringe. Eu lembro que uma vez fizemos para team building, fizemos tipo rafting ou whatever. Foi ainda mais cringe. Sério, estou só aqui a fazer bully a uma pessoa. Vamos lá, eu vou continuar o vídeo.
Mr. Balls, it's Mr. Balls!
What?
Team building igual a fazer literalmente nada relacionado com trabalho. Mas... Ok. Passeio de barco. Canoar no Mondego. Não gostei, mas não considero assim tão cringe. Samabeca cringe. Team building receber lembrete que os teus colegas são seres humanos e não máquinas para trabalhar. Isso é uma boa função do team building. Interrobang. Bang. Meti isto no interrobang no coisa.
Why? What? When? How? We can't escape it. We all have to refer to a video game by its title at some point. You can only get so far without it.
Give him rats.
So far is pretty damn far.
E fiz, porque se houver, por exemplo, andar de barco, se calhar não serve, não dá muito para fazer isso, mas se for uma coisa em que tem que trabalhar em equipa, pode ser giro para criar algum tipo de ligações, de elos. E então já pensaste que isso seria um bom pretexto para deixar de ter as doutrinas laborais que existem inerentes a um sistema capitalista? Desculpa, Watson, foda-se. Desculpa, Aleph, eu ainda não li o livro do Marx, desculpa. Por isso não percebo nada do que estás a escrever. E não simplesmente dedicar 1 ou 2 dias por ano para esse propósito? Pois, nenhum de nós leu como é que se chama o livro do Marx? Ninguém leu o Manifesto Comunista, por isso ninguém sabe o que é que estás a falar. Chamaste-lhe Watson porque já te esqueceste que eu sou inativista, mas isso é discurso de pessoas que são inativistas, e o Aleph já confessou que é um inativista.
That just shows how important a good title is, because without it, I would have no goddamn idea what this game was about. Titles are oftentimes conglomerates of words that sound nice together, but ultimately make no sense when you analyze them. Elden Ring? Nah, old circle. But we're so used to how games are titled now that we don't think twice about a game called Concrete Genie. Huh, naturally. So let's start by analyzing these things and how the most popular game series of all time's name makes no damn sense.
Eu não consigo acabar o Dragon Quest 11. Não consigo, já estou desde 2016, man.
Brothers. What just came out of my
ativista de
mouth?
bancada, mostly
Platforming
porque é
game
pointless.
starring brothers
Oh
Mario
my
and
god.
Luigi, but Mario is obviously the main star. Luigi only comes into play when playing multiplayer, and there's
Mas se achas que é pointless, então porque é que has de pensar sequer nisso? Deixa lá, vai só, sei lá, just work and go home and work and go home until you die. Se não tens poder sobre isso, não vale a pena pensar nisso.
super because 1, the game before this one was titled Mario Brothers, and 2, the Super Mushroom power-up transforms them into Super
Não,
Mario
acho é que
and
tu
Super
gostas.
Luigi. So the title
Tu és
doesn't necessarily
sádico,
make
não
any
é?
sense. It's just a
Não, não és nada
checklist.
sádico.
So it's
És
no wonder they
masoquista,
dropped
só gostas
the
de
Brothers
sofrer.
moniker a bit in. Retroactively, Nintendo
Gostas de imaginar coisas que não consegues controlar, que te fazem miserável.
did confirm that Mario and Luigi's last name is Mario. God, f their parents. But I don't think they thought that far ahead when titling this game back in the 80s. Honest to God, this reads like a translation flub. After Super Mario Bros. 3, Nintendo started naming Mario titles Super Mario Blank,
Just que
Super Mario
aconteceu?
Land, World, even spin-offs like Super Mario Kart.
Wait,
It's
hold on. Como é que se chama este vídeo? Game Titles? Ambas as posições são pro status quo. Eu só estou a dizer que se é para te fazer sofrer, mais vale não pensares em nada. Porque se estiveres a pensar também não vais mudar nada. A única coisa que muda é, tu sofres. Portanto, entre tu sofreres e não acontecer nada no mundo, e entre tu não sofreres e não acontecer nada no mundo, prefiro que não sofras. That's it.
definitely an evolutionary step for a franchise. When enough people understand your series, you no longer have to worry about your title being anything else.
Toga, é que saiu como saiu no Super Nintendo, tem que se chamar Super Mario Kart. É a lei, tem que ter um Super no título. Já não curto Scott the Woz. Ao menos obtenho consciência de classe. Para quê? Que é meio caminho andado para algo mudar. Se os 99 adquirirem... Os 99 quê? Aí talvez as coisas mudem. Super Street Fighter 2 saiu no Super Nintendo. É bom que tenha.
Elegant. It just has
Isso já são leis da... Eu acho que sim, que saiu no Super Nintendo. Mas geralmente já são leis da coisa. Como é que se diz? Leis da Capcom. Mas aposto que a Nintendo obrigou-os a chamar Super.
to get the job done. Oh, what's this? Mario Golf. When you have so many titles in a series, it becomes harder and harder to name each one something unique, making some titles interchangeable. Eventually, we got Super Mario 3D Land and Super Mario 3D World. I mean, these do nothing to describe the actual games. It's Super Mario in a 3D land. Okay, well, what makes that so different from Super Mario in a 3D world? At that point, why wasn't the first 3D Mario game not titled something like this? And instead it was titled, and you fucking wonder why people don't take video games seriously, Super Mario 64. Following the titling scheme of the gaming console the game is on in the title. It really helps answering that question.
Isto é cringe? Isto é cringe? Espero que sim.
Super Nintendo games start with Super in the title. That means Super Punch-Out, Super Soccer,
O grande
Super
Toga,
Metroid,
está sempre
all
aqui.
fine and good,
Ele está
but
sempre aqui. He's got my back. Foi nesse jogo que adicionaram a Kami e o Fei Long. Porquê que já não gostas de Scott da base? Viste este vídeo? Viste este vídeo de 30 minutos? E ficaste tipo, I hate this guy. Foi tipo
I
isso?
mean, for a game as serious as Super Metroid
O
with
teu
the
problema é que já não vês vídeos comigo.
title screen
Mas,
being
hey,
decorated with corpses, Super
your
feels a
loss.
bit like it takes away from how serious the game can be and almost seems to dumb it down to simply being Metroid, but bigger. But it's such an iconic title in gaming that it
Your
just
loss.
feels right. Super Castlevania 4, though, like, you already saw.
Estás a ver agora?
If they just
Já
called it
tinhas visto?
Castlevania 4, fine. If they just called it Super Castlevania, fine. Super Castlevania would have made all the sense in the world, considering 4 is a bit of a retelling of the setup to the original Castlevania.
O que eu gosto no Scott da base é que ele parece Vitag. Exato, parece mesmo. Por acaso, Super Castlevania 4 é um game title muito estúpido, mas, you know, it is what it is.
But, no. It reads as if there's some standard Castlevania 4 out there I don't
É
know
lei. É lei. É lei de sair no Super Nintendo, tem que ter um Super no início do nome.
about. Oh, the name is available. The Castlevania series does have a fairly consistent titling method, usually going for the subtitle of
Tu eras capaz de ficar mega hiper viciado em Rogue Legacy? Eu ainda não joguei. Eu queria jogar o 2. Mas, whatever. Que saiu este ano, ou assim. Como parecido é com Dead Cells? Não sei se é muito. Você tem a ideia que o Rogue Legacy foi o Kickstarter para os roguelites.
Blank of Blank. Rondo of
Esse se
Blood,
calhar o Spelunky. Mas o Rogue Legacy acho que foi que definiu muitas coisas dos roguelites, assim, muitos... Como é que se diz? Muitas features que os roguelites agora usam.
Symphony of the Night, Circle of the Moon. Oh, some of these actually sneak in some cute
Eu não
actors.
gostei do Circle of the Moon na altura, mas agora quero muito voltar a jogar Circle of the Moon. Why is he killing a mudman? This game is racist, dude.
Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow was the first Castlevania on the DS. Castlevania Harmony of Despair was released on the HD.
It's my friend Martosi.
Sorvindaram
Olá para ti também. Como é que é, Martósio? Obrigado, bem-vindo. Fica aí um bocado a ver nomes de jogos. Game titles é o que está aqui. É isso que estamos a ver.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate, outside of being a prime example of two whole subtitles, both using the blank of blank format, released on the Nintendo 3DS. So Mirror of Fate kind of alludes to the illusion
Sempre evitei
screen on
aquele
the
jogo.
portable, which a couple DS and 3DS games did a similar.
Estou no mau sítio mentalmente. Estou a jogar ranks de LOL. Espera aí. Estás no mau sítio mentalmente porque estás a jogar ranks de LOL? Ou estás no mau sítio mentalmente? Espera. Tu percebes onde é que eu quero chegar, certo? Ou porque estás num sítio mau mentalmente começaste a jogar ranks de LOL? Ok, estavas bem, mas depois veio o LOL, não é? O Toga concorda. Estou a ver Scott the Was, indeed. Então como é que estás? Estás bom? Bem-vindo.
similar thing in their titles. But most of these are
Grande
fine
Epic.
by
Pera,
me. Even the
o
ones
Epic
that
Mickey
don't
saiu na
get
3DS.
did a similar thing in their titles.
Eu nem
But most of these are
sabia.
fine by me.
Pensava que era
Even the
só na
ones that
Wii.
don't follow the format. Castlevania Bloodlines, I think about good names for vampire-based action games featuring distant relatives of characters from previous Castlevania games a lot. And this one's a close second. So it shocks me to see the series stoop to the low of this.
Wait. Ele fez timing com It's Shocking Me, com o gajo fazer um ataque que parece uma cena elétrica? Nah.
This tampering. Castlevania. Just Castlevania. Is there anything special about this one? Like, is it a fresh start for the franchise? A reboot? A remake? No, it's just the first
No, it just
3D
sucks.
Castlevania. Good for it. I got out of bed this morning, so I accomplished something too. Let's forget my dad was ever a thing. This is a scenario where the overused 64 subtitle for Nintendo 64
Mario Kart 64. The sequel to Super Mario Kart. Right? Eu disse direito, não disse? Já não me lembro o que é que disse.
games would have been completely welcome. And in this case, most fans just end up calling the game Castlevania 64 because what else are you gonna call it? Well, yeah, but what system is
True.
it for? Nintendo 64 games, I feel like at least a third of the library must have 64 in the title. With Super Nintendo, using Super in the names at least worked both in the context of being a standalone title and a Super Nintendo game.
No,
What the
outro dia
hell
estava a
does this
pensar
number have to
no...
do with Donkey Kong? The use of 64 in these titles could oftentimes
No outro dia estava a pensar no... No quê? No Return of the Jedi.
confusing.
Good movie.
It doesn't imply this is the series' big leap into 3D. Super Mario 64 sort of set the precedent, so with a game like Mega Man 64, I'm sure many fans thought, oh, this is Mega Man's next big step. My next big step is going to Denny's for the second night in a row. It's a port of Mega Man Legends from the PlayStation. Well, just call it Mega Man
no.
Legends, or if your fetish is that crippling, Mega Man Legends 64. Duke Nukem 64 was just the Nintendo 64
Acho que
version
não,
of
era-
Duke Nukem
acho que era
3D,
64
but
bits.
Doom
Mas
64 is an
I don't remember.
entirely unique entry in the Doom
Wikipedia.
series, so much so
Here
that it
we
received
go.
a modern remaster, yet many people always assumed it was just a port of the original Doom. But then you have Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards. What's the point of the
Named
number
after
here? You already
its
have a
64-bit
subtitle.
CPU.
Putting 64 in the titles of these games almost feel like these companies were beckoning to fans who only had the Nintendo 64. Like, hey, finally, a Mega Man for you! But, hey, at least 64 became an iconic number within the game.
Olha, não era a Jaguar, a consola da Jaguar ou caraças, que tinha mais do que 64 bits, que era para ver se ganhava a competição toda.
Community. It's so specific that when you put it in a title, people know what it means, and it definitely rolls off the tongue with a lot of these names. Monopoly for Nintendo Switch. Could you be more specific? This is a trend I will never fully understand. How some game titles do the for Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch Edition subtitle. I see this mostly on that console, but other systems aren't immune. 9 times out of 10, a game with for Nintendo Switch in the title isn't like super optimized for Nintendo Switch or has crazy unique features. It's the same as any other multi-plat version, and 9.5 times out of 10, it's a digital-only release, which means you can only find it by going on that system's specific storefront.
Só sabes que,
No
que se parece com uma sanita?
This is the Nintendo Switch edition? Really? Nintendo gets this treatment the most. I mean, Yakuza 1 and 2 HD on PS3, Yakuza 1 and 2 HD for Wii U on Wii U. To be fair, they've done this themselves, most notably with
Imagina o que é eles lançarem Nintendo Switch Edition de um jogo noutra consola qualquer, tipo na PS5.
Super
That would be
Smash
funny.
Bros. for Wii U and Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS, but also with Super Mario Maker for Nintendo 3DS, Brain Training for Nintendo Switch, etc. In many ways, I don't blame them, as, I mean, Smash for Wii U and 3DS have the same characters and roughly the same gameplay, but there are some unique features on Wii U, like swimming and climbing ladders, different stages and modes across both games. They're different titles, but the same. So what else would you call them? But I think using the console's name in a video game title just goes to show how potentially lacking of character that specific game has. Damn, you're no nonsense today.
Não sei se Nintendo
The
teve.
identity
Acho
of
que não
this video
teve.
game is that it's on a video game console. Sometimes I swear companies do this to mask what their game
Esperem
truly
só um
is.
momento.
Rayman, do you
Estão-me a ligar, eu preciso de atender isto. Estou de volta. Peço desculpa não ter atendido aqui à vossa frente. Como é que está tudo? Está tudo bem? Estão fresquinhos? Estão-se a hidratar? Eu não me estou a hidratar. Espera aí, vou buscar água, pode ser? Eu vou pôr o vídeo a tocar. Pumbas.
Yes, it's Rayman 2. Rayman 3D? It's Rayman 2. Rayman Revolution? God damn, we get it. They're synonyms. Well, you think people are gonna buy these games because they think it'll be a completely new Rayman game? Judging on the back of Rayman DS and 3D make absolutely no mention of these being re-releases and how I keep buying copies of Rayman 3D thinking it's not Rayman 2. It's clear this is another case of titling trickery. I'd honestly say this is borderline false advertising. Like Power Punch 2. There ain't no Power Punch 1. Which shows just how good the sequel is if they jump straight to 2. So this game was originally developed as a sequel to Punch-Out, but publisher Nintendo dropped out
Raio
during
Homem
production,
Dual
so
Screen.
the developer just released it as their own original game, but since they didn't have the rights to the Punch-Out name, they renamed it to
What
Power
the
Punch
heck
and
is
added
this?
2 to the mix, as I guess they still
I've
do.
never seen this
Well,
shit. What
I
the
mean, it
fuck
just
is this
goes to
shit?
show how powerful a number in a title can be with a sequel. You have a billion-ass Kingdom Hearts games released between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. Like, literally, there was a mainline Kingdom Hearts game released on the Nintendo 3DS in 2012, and 1 year later, people still lost their minds over Kingdom Hearts 3 being announced at E3 2013, as if it's been so long since the last Kingdom Hearts. But you know what just rubs me the wrong way? When a series flip-flops between using Roman numerals and standard numbers for sequels. Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden 2, and Ninja Gaiden...
You know what grinds my gears? Watson, às vezes eu acho que Scott the Wasp passou a ser só isso, certo? É um Grinds My Gears no Video Game Edition.
3. I hope the fourth one uses tally marks and is a part of the Black Ops series. It's that inconsistency that doesn't necessarily bother me, but just perplexes me. Like, why? Why are you like this? Especially when some games have subtitles and some don't. Like Resident Evil had this perfect string of sequel names. But then 3 just had to include Nemesis in the title. Hey, sometimes it's okay to stick out a little bit. And 3 thankfully wasn't the only one to do so. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Mas espera, Biohazard é o nome japonês do Resident Evil.
So they switched over to Roman numerals for this one, but it's all a part of the logo, highlighting the V, I, and
Okay, that was not the point. Sorry.
part of the L in evil to make a 7. Then the subtitle Biohazard is actually the title of the Resident Evil franchise in Japan. So over there, the game is actually called Biohazard 7 Resident Evil,
Trocaram. Ok. Ok, tá bem.
with the 7 coming out of the Z in Biohazard.
Hey, that's pretty
Just
cool.
Everything about these titles and logos are so clever and cool. I love them. It is weird, though, that while the subtitle being Biohazard is great and all, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. For this specific game, with this specific story, I'm not sure how well the term Biohazard represents it, as it's more of a cute nod to the series title in Japan, rather than an effective subtitle. And also, even with the English logo using a Roman numeral, most official listings of the game give it a standard number 7. But then with the next Resident Evil game, it followed the same format, had the Roman numeral 8 in the logo. That's not a part of the official name. It's not Resident Evil 8 Village, it's just Resident Evil Village. Why is the logo like this then? It's like Horizon Forbidden West. They put this Roman numeral 2 right here, but...
You know what grinds my gears? I'm sorry, I can't unthink. Ai. Mas tipo, olha o título do Resident Evil Village. Portanto, o logo é tipo Village Resident Evil, mas depois o nome do jogo é Resident Evil Village. That kinda grinds my gears.
ever refer to it when talking about the game. Maybe it's a pause button. But these specific cases, I can live with. Well, not for an extended period of time. They don't irritate me, they just perplex me. Now, sequel titles that do irritate me, well, less so irritate, more so enable. Removing words from the franchise's name and following entries, I just don't like this. It feels cheap and tacky and lame, like the game producers are trying to get hip with the lingo. Oh, people just call our series Gears. Well, we do too. You know, Gears of War 5 takes the same amount of effort to say as Gears of War 2 does, and we were doing just...
Foda-se, chama-se mesmo Gears 5. Eu sempre pensei que era só os players a chamar. Uau.
It's fine back then. This makes Gears 5 feel more like a spin-off than the 5th main entry in the series. It oversimplifies the franchise down to one word, like this is the word for us. Gear? I think it would have stuck out more simplifying it down to of. At least with...
Eu estou à espera que saia uma sequela do Super Mario chamada Mario. Just Mario. E é tipo... E seria tipo Chris Pratt, tipo metade da cara do Chris Pratt e o resto tipo tudo preto. O que achas? Go é mais God of War do Gears of War. Ok. Anyway. Seria deprimente como o caralho. Sim, Chris Pratt é Mario in Mario. The gritty sequel to Super Mario Odyssey. He was too happy on that shitty game. Anyway, nós já vimos o Mario Warfare?
Zelda
Vimos lá em Leiria, ou lá o que é, Aveiro.
2, The Adventure of Link. I mean, that's more acceptable due to Zelda being a far
capa
more
do Joker,
iconic
sim.
word, a word unanimously used to refer to the Legend of Zelda franchise as a whole.
Imagina, metade da capa era o Chris Pratt, estás a ver? E a outra metade era o Jack Black. O que achas? I'm getting chills, dude. I'm getting chills. Mario. Just Mario.
Man, it still just doesn't feel right. This works better as an abbreviation for fans to use. Quick slang for your game title, not its legal name. At least it's still easy to follow, you know? Gears 5 is the 5th main entry, Zelda 2 is the 2nd main entry. The 3rd, well, f me then. Titlers love breaking from tradition to nab some attention. Sometimes a series changes for
Ei,
the better.
eu gostei
So
que
fans went from numbering the entries to just
eu curti que aquilo fosse do 1 para o 3. Eu gosto de saltos, tipo Windows. You know?
flat out labeling them by the year, which when your yearly music game series is basically just changing the song list with each entry, that's a good change to make. Dance Dance Revolution always felt the need to give each title something unique, but it just overcomplicates everything. Like most of these subtitles are synonyms. For some series, just putting the year at the end, it makes sense. Like with Madden. Nothing but consistency. Sure, they went from naming it John Madden Football to Madden NFL, going from abbreviations of years to full years, back to abbreviations again, and skipping John Madden Football 91. Okay, it's nothing but not consistency. However, ever since Madden NFL 06, things have been smooth sailing. Can't wait to look at the title for Madden 14! I have to change my legal documents. The 25th anniversary of Madden. Sure. Oh, technically, this is the 25th entry in the series, but come on! I consider this to be a real
O que
dumb...
eles vão fazer em 2025? Estou preocupado por eles. God damn it, Madden.
titling for...
O de 2025 vai se chamar Madden 14, certo? Tem que ser.
to just stand out while making your entire franchise more confusing to keep up with. Oh yeah, Madden 25! That actually didn't release in 2024. Battlefield 1! No, the first Battlefield was Battlefield 1942, which was followed by Battlefield Vietnam, and then Battlefield 2, then Battlefield 2142, then Battlefield 3, 4, then 1, then 5, now with a Roman numeral. Then Battlefield 2042. Battlefield 1943 may seem like a sequel to Battlefield 1942, but it's just a spin-off, so what does that make Battlefield 1 a spin-off as well, since Battlefield 5 isn't called Battlefield 6? No, it's mainline, unlike Battlefield Online opposed to the other Battlefield games that play online. All of them. Now where does this fit in the picture? Battlefield Online was a green exclusive entry in the series that took assets from previous games to make an online multiplayer-only PC game tailor-made for that market.
I like the things that grinds
I mean, Call of Duty did it with Call of Duty Online for the Chinese market.
Of war.
I just find the titling funny when pretty much all the other games in the franchise have online play, acting like this is the online one. When Call of Duty World War II was announced, I was pretty annoyed, like acting as if this was the first and only Call of Duty to do World War II. I understand it had been a while since the last game focused on it, but titling it implies like, yup, this is the Call of Duty based in World War II. And this is the...
Sabes o que era fixe? Que no Call of Duty World War II pudesse jogar como o Capitão América. Era mesmo fixe, não era?
Banana. Come on, man. At least name it something like World War II Returns or something.
É que tipo, num FPS eu quero tudo menos first person shooting. Sério, já cansa.
I don't know. Call of Duty's already having the issue of reusing titles. We had Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, followed up with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and later on 3. Then with some re-releases of the first Modern Warfare, the number 4 was dropped, like with Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex.
Imagina, é um FPS Mas é third person. E em vez de disparares uma pistola, lanças um escudo que na verdade funciona como um boomerang. Aí era mesmo fixe. Isso sim seria o FPS preferido.
Edition and remastered, and then the 2019 game launched, Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Ah, yes,
To be fair,
bulletproof.
no other game was named that. And then the sequel to it, to also be fair, the same applies. I just wish sometimes they'd cut it with the reused titles. I mean, I get it. They don't care if they have 2 games called Modern Warfare 2 because 95% of the people buying aren't going to be having colorful discussions on the state of the video game industry and will never even reference a Call of Duty that released over 2 years ago. Most of these consumers treat each new Call of Duty, Need for Speed, and Madden like a bag of chips. Open, consume, dispose of. So reusing a title or making this entry a confusing...
Avengers. Pera, mas o que eu descrevi foi World War II. Isso não é só uma. Pera, o que tu estás a dizer é só um. Como é que se diz? Um clone de Destiny, não é? Não tem nada a ver com a Segunda Guerra Mundial.
Confusing name in comparison to previous games. It doesn't matter. You can name the next Call of Duty Ice Smell. It would do just as well as last year's, and people would just call it the Call of Duty for this year.
Last year's smelled better, though.
But it also just rubs me the wrong way when games with the exact same name, logo, even box art release, and they are completely and utterly different. You can no longer just call the game Rayman Raving Rabbids. You have to specify Rayman Raving Rabbids, the Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, and PC version.
That
or
sucks.
the Nintendo
But
DS
it is
version.
what it
Or
is.
the Game Boy Advance version, because these 3 games are nothing alike, being in different genres entirely. I feel that with these handheld versions of console games, they name them and market them as the same thing in a way to kind of trick unknowing consumers into thinking this is going to be the same game you see all the commercials for on TV. I mean, come on, do you remember ever seeing the Game Boy Color version of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 in the advertising? No, they just show screenshots of the PlayStation version, but list Game Boy Color as one of the platforms. No,
That's not
surely.
cool. Eu joguei o 3 da Game Boy Color e foi muito fixe.
How many games are called Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, and how many of them are truly the same? You know, this would be a great opportunity to use that for game system subtitle, but no.
Ele estava a refilar do For Wii U, For Switch, etc.
Just called this Jeopardy, and this will make sure the people know. And you know what's the most depressing thing ever?
Ei, cão. Que esta merda? Estou a tentar ver um vídeo. Cheguem. Vamos ter calminha. Oh Watson, não queres tipo, ficar com este cão durante um dia ou assim? Estou farto de o ouvir, meu. Da puta. Bem, vou continuar o vídeo.
You title a
Olha,
game with a Volume 1,
promete
showing the
silêncio?
intentions of this being a long and meaningful series.
Promete?
SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1, Best of PlayStation Network Volume 1. Damn, it's almost like a Volume 2 exists, just like Madden 14. You gotta have a lot of confidence to put Volume 1 in a game's title, almost enough to ensure that Volume 2 is probably already underway. Is this used as a bargaining chip to get a
Ei, eu quero
sequel
jogar este
produced?
jogo. Já joguei com um amigo
Doesn't
meu.
work. I
Na
will say
PlayStation
something.
3
I
dele.
love seeing a prequel with the subtitle 0. I just think it sounds good, feels good, like it's the perfect subtitle. It's a great buzzword on its own, and adding it to a franchise name,
it's really
immediately
cool.
obvious what it is. Earthbound released here in North America on the SNES, but is actually titled Mother 2 in Japan, with the first game on NES almost releasing over here in English, but getting canceled at the last minute. What was called Mother in Japan was meant to be called Earthbound here, but since that first game got scrapped, when they brought Mother 2 over, they just called that Earthbound. However, that original English localization was eventually found in...
Olha, Lef, é mais um daqueles jogos que tu dizes que são excelentes, mas nunca vais jogar. Sempre a espicaçar. Faz parte de mim.
...by fans for people to download...
Peraí, tenho que desligar o tablet da empresa.
...called Earthbound release, it just made sense for fans to call this Earthbound 0. I couldn't think of anything better to call it. You can
Olha,
find
sabias que este jogo é de
construction
turnos?
cartridges of the game with this title, and it just feels right. But then, Nintendo decided to finally officially release the game on the Wii U's eShop in 2015. What did they call it? Ah! This is one of my least favorite titles ever. It sounds so dumb. I'm sure they would have loved to actually call it Earthbound 0, but had to settle for beginnings because we don't want people to know fans exist. Sure, don't use the word 0, but why beginnings? Why not origins?
1980X?
Genesis is a synonym for
Espera
beginning.
aí. The year is 1980X? Oh meu Deus. Eu não acredito. Também tem pronomes. Também tem um neopronoun. God damn it.
And that would have been a wicked subtitle. Yeah, it may have already been used for the Sega console, but there are other books of the Old Testament. Deuteronomy. But no, you pick 3 of the worst syllables I've ever heard. Though I've heard worse. And some names just look and sound
Não. Neopronouns é só um X, não é 2.
weird the first time you see them. I remember calling The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Zelda Wii U for years before it finally got its
Amor de Berlim. Oh meu Deus.
official name. And I thought using the word breath felt off. You look up any reaction to a new game getting announced online, and every single person posting a video has to say the title out loud when it appears on screen. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Oh, Jumanji the video game! Oh! Which, hey, this game, Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. Bless you. Originally announced as a crossover between Shin Megami Tensei.
Primeiro X é o determinante do pronome. Não sei o que é que significa.
And Fire Emblem, titled none other than Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, which we'll get to you later, eventually was renamed to an unlocalized Japanese title for a bit, and then Tokyo
Eu vou-te
Mirage
prender
Sessions
aqui
Sharp
e
FE.
dar-te um
Yes,
cheiro de
sharp,
porrada.
not hashtag
Pode
or
ser?
number or pound. Not sure why we needed this portion.
Que
I
achas?
understand FE is an
Achas bem?
abbreviation for Fire Emblem, and
Ok.
Neo pointed out how
Na
TMS
capa, fura a
backwards
boca.
is SMT.
Como é que é,
Shin
pessoal?
Megami
Está tudo
Tensei.
bem?
I have to give them credit.
Está tudo bem aqui, ok?
They found a way to incorporate
We're all
both
friends.
series titles
We're all
into
friends,
one,
caralho.
while
Anda
keeping
aqui.
this as its own
Anda
separate
aqui.
thing, which is what it is. While originally planned as a traditional crossover between SMT and Fire Emblem, it became more of an original game that just plays like Shin Megami Tensei, with Fire Emblem characters making appearances assisting the main cast who are completely new and original. So I guess the title was as good as we could get. I still think the Sharp FE is
Ela está a ser mesmo idiota porque ela está mesmo a vir aqui. É mesmo burra. E veio. Você é uma idiota. Senta aí. Senta aí. Senta. Estás a ver? Muito bem. Isso.
unnecessary, though. Like, if you wanted to push out Fire Emblems in the game, the title already barely makes any sense. Just throw it in there. But again, I guess they wanted to push this as its own original thing rather than specifically advertise it as a Fire Emblem game. Except they did just that in a few trailers they posted online. I don't even play this game. Let's talk about that pesky cross. Christ. Kind of an odd trend for a bit there was using an X between two words to symbolize a crossover.
Sad sigh, you know? Continuando.
Announcing it as Cross, Shin Megami Cross Fire Emblem, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Street Fighter Cross Mega Man, Project Cross Zone, which, what is that? A tactical
It's the
role-playing
best
game
of
featuring
them
characters
all.
from Sega, Namco, and Capcom? Oh, I get the title now. Letters. Then they started moving away from the cross and started using a plus sign instead. Mario plus Rabbids, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions, 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Advance Wars 1 plus 2, Pro Skater 1 plus 2, Box Boy plus Box Girl. Just where did this trend come from? The plus sign I find to look a little juvenile. I don't like that. I'm too mature for this. I'm an adult who eats caviar. Localized titles. Something they
Dia desses quero voltar a jogar
I've been a little confused as to
Tony
why
Hawk's
Bandai Namco stopped using the English title for Taiko
Pro
no
Skater 1+2.
Tatsujin. You know, Taiko Drum Master. We got it over here on the PS2. It's just a fun rhythm game with a drum peripheral. We only ever got this game in North America, but Japan just kept on getting these damn things. Finally, in 2018, we got another localized title. The first
Drum and
Nintendo
Fun.
Switch entry in the series. Taiko no Tatsujin, Drum and Fun. They didn't even try to change anything like they did with the PS2 game, changing the song list for North America. They didn't have the Jimmy Neutron theme in Japan. In Drum and Fun, it's nothing but Japanese pop songs, anime music, the worst.
Le Mans.
Hey, it's cool to see they're sticking to what makes Taiko Taiko. But like I said, I'm just confused why they don't just call it Taiko Drum Master over here still. It's not like a butchered localized title. Taiko no Tatsujin roughly translates to Taiko Master of Drums. I guess because
Mas tens os drums? É que se não.
they're barely changing anything
Corta.
from the Japanese releases song-wise now, they wanted to convey that through the title itself, which, thinking about it that way, it makes sense. Now, Europe, I have a question. Why? Mario and Luigi Dream Team.
Pois.
Good title, games about dreams, and Mario
Ei, este é um dos
Team
meus jogos preferidos, ever. E gosto porque joguei em português.
up. Brilliant. Now, why did they have to call it Mario and Luigi Dream Team Brothers in Europe? To show they did the math? This is one of the most peculiar name changes from North America to Europe, second only to Mario and Luigi. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Great title. Game's about a crossover between the Mario and Luigi RPG series and the Paper Mario RPG series, jamming them both together. It's absolutely perfect. But did their parents well, that makes even less sense.
Whoa.
At least with Dream Team, it's
That's
like,
fucked up, bro.
okay, Dream Team and Brothers are related enough terms. Paper Jam Brothers just sounds like I'm ending one sentence and starting another. Europe often gets these
Olha, explica-me porque é que eu gostei tanto do Luigi's Mansion 2 e depois joguei meia hora do 3 e larguei-o.
explanatory
Anyway.
titles, like Mario Strikers being titled Mario Strikers Football, Kirby's Return to Dreamland being Kirby's Adventure Wii, Star Fox being I don't know, but hands
Lilith
down,
Wars.
one of the biggest localization titling
Por acaso-
fiascos
Lilith Wars é um nome tão cool. Já não pensava neste nome há muito tempo.
was the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 all happily came over from Japan to North America. Not Europe, though. They were happy just getting the spin-off title Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which was
Yikes.
titled Mystic Quest Legend over there. And then all of a sudden, in 1997, math. After Final Fantasy 3 came Final Fantasy 7, or for Europe, after one Final Fantasy that wasn't even
Doesn't
titled Final
sound-
Fantasy, came Final Fantasy 7. This was, of course, due to not every Final Fantasy releasing outside of Japan at the time, so we never received the original Final Fantasy 2 and 3. Though we did receive 4, they just renamed it to Final Fantasy 2 over here. Same with 6, we got it as 3. By the time Final Fantasy 7 launched, I think they realized how counterintuitive this was. Sure, you may not have released all the games over here, but you're not even naming them something different with a subtitle or something, so in the end, we have 2 Final Fantasy 2s and 2 3s. Eventually, they filled in the blanks over time. All the Final Fantasies became playable in some form throughout the world, so they did this for the best. If they kept up this naming convention, Final Fantasy X would actually be Final Fantasy VII, which would be the stupidest thing I've seen all day. It just turned midnight. Skipping entries is an oddly common trend with video games. Hell, Dragon Quest still does it to this day, and actually went through a whole localization name change back in the day, titled Dragon Warrior here for the first few entries until converting to the original Japanese name Dragon Quest. This was due to another product already being titled Dragon Quest in North America, similar to why Star Fox's name had to be changed in Europe for a
Who did they kill to get the name?
bit until the rights issues were figured out for later entries. Hey, it may be confusing, but thank God they don't lie. If there's one thing I don't respect, it's a title that lies. Going back to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Is it a spoiler to say they're on thin ice? Not only does the game only cover the first third of the original Final Fantasy VII, now being split up into 3 different remake entries, but they changed so much and turned it into a completely different game with a completely different story. To be fair, they are remaking it. Just because you remake something doesn't mean it's beat for beat. The title doesn't lie like crazy, but they obviously know what they're doing. The box art and logo, the opening, it's all supposed to give the vibe that this is the original Final Fantasy VII remade for modern audiences. But in reality,
Então, eu concordo com ele. Isto foi grande scam. Mas pronto.
it's an alternate take on FF7, so calling it this is kind of misleading. There's no getting around it. So
Yeah.
I can understand and agree with arguments in
Not just kinda misleading, very misleading.
its favor. Dreamcast Collection gets no sympathy. That's a damn Sega Saturn
Normal
game.
ser scam é
Grand Theft
RPG.
Auto, the
A pior parte é que este não é de turnos.
Trilogy, the definitive edition.
Este é dos únicos que não é de turnos. Eu ia dizer o único, mas depois pensei no 15, que esse é total scam, foda-se. E não é turnos.
Alright, well, you used the word the in the title twice. No, 3 times. I just find this to be a sloppy
92
one.
Dreams é
The
grande
Trilogy, the definitive edition. But
Quando é
on
que
top
continuamos
of
a
that,
jogar?
Definitive edition. Yeah, okay. Definitive edition.
Meu favorite game que
only
nunca
used for, like,
joguei.
yeah, no
Eu joguei numa passagem de ano, acho eu. E estava a gostar. Só que depois nunca mais peguei. Já tinha experimentado quando era petis na Sega Saturn. Mas pronto. It is what it is.
Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is definitely the definitive way to play, but even then, when it doesn't include some content introduced in Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, like...
Pois, eu ia dizer que o verdadeiro definitivo é o 3D. E ele agora respondeu que sim, de facto, é mesmo o definitivo.
You could have just called it Xenoblade Remastered, you know? And don't even give me
Xenoblade Weeb Edition.
started on
nome
movie
perfeito.
games. Like, isn't it kind of weird when a game based on a movie still has the word movie in it? Like, I get it, it's based on the movie. You can't just call the game based on the SpongeBob movie anything but. That's why it's good to be more specific sometimes. This isn't B-movie. This is
Yo! Isto tem voice acting do Seinfeld, este jogo? Se sim, quero comprá-lo.
B-movie
Ouvem o que eu disse. Comprar. Eu não quero piratear, quero comprar.
game. Just call it B-game. Oh, I'm sorry, that's already taken. But you know what really rubs me the wrong way with many
Tarzan?
games like this is when
Looks
you have
shitty.
to have the presenter at the beginning of the title. It's not Tarzan Untamed. It's Disney's Tarzan Untamed. In a game like Epic Mickey, it's not even Disney's Epic Mickey. It's just Disney Epic Mickey. Where does it go on an alphabetical list? Is this Guilty Party or Disney Guilty Party? Is this Cars the video game or Disney Pixar Cars the video game? It's like everybody just calls this series Civilization, not Sid Meier's Civilization, but that's what's on the game's spine. So when I alphabetize my games, do I do the right thing the wrong way or the wrong thing the right way? Alphabetizing your games definitely makes you see these things in a bit of a different light. Like how some Mario spin-offs swap between titling themselves Mario and Super Mario.
Havia um vídeo qualquer no YouTube que era uma música, mas sempre que o vocalista dizia uma determinada palavra, o B-move completo era passado. Yeah. Isso foi um meme engraçado até. Era o meme do Every time X happens, we play Y. E that was the meme. Wasn't that bad. Tenho pena que o Fantano nunca tenha feito um meme review sobre isso. Já não foi a tempo. Acho que ele deu shutdown on Needle Drop há um ano antes disso sair.
Annoying when games like Super
It is
Mario
what it
Party
is.
and Mario Party Superstars are on the same console. Now they go in different spots on the shelf. Then when you have sequels to games that always start with a different word, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the first game is last tier. The World Ends With You to Neo.
Eu acho que tu devias... Uau, what? Eu acho que tu devias fazer uma stream de celebração. Meu. O comeback do Aleph.
The World Ends With You. Why couldn't it have been The World Ends With You Neo? Especially when making Neo the core title of this game, like, there's already Neo games on the PlayStation 4. But this Neo is supposed to be a futuristic feeling variant of the word new, which we already get enough of. New Super Mario Brothers, new Pokemon Snap, new Super Lucky's Tale, new Carnival games, which they went from Carnival games to new Carnival games, back to Carnival games again. And they say taxes are complicated. Listen, I get it. The word new is very safe. It makes sense in many regards, like with new Pokemon Snap. Yeah, you could name it Pokemon Snap too.
Acho que devias anunciar nas redes sociais. Mete no Facebook com o link e depois constata, tipo, sei lá, os teus tios e avós no Twitch chat. Ai, eu morri com o netinho. Ó sobrinho, quando é que vais lá à casa jantar?
The game is more about doing the
Mas tudo em
same thing
caps.
the original
Tudo escrito em caps, ok?
did, again, while being its own game. So
Já não tens a voz? That sucks. Olha, tens que tirar a restrição do... Porque os chats costumam ter uma restrição contra caps. Contra all caps. Mas se fizeres post no Facebook, vais ter que tirar essa restrição para as pessoas que vêm de lá.
new Pokemon Snap makes sense. You could call it Super Pokemon Snap or something, but new works in this situation. Same with new Super Mario Brothers. The problem is when you make 9 more of them, you start to question the authenticity of the word new here. It can become incredibly confusing. New is always used to describe the condition of your video game.
Now
Super
that's a
Mario
cap,
Brothers.
bruh. For real, for real.
The word kind of implies this is just an improved and updated version of an old thing, when in most cases, It's actually a direct follow-up or successor. But hey, parents will just look up new Super Mario game for their kids, and this is always what pops up, so that must be why it sells so well. But if they were willing to use such a marketing-friendly term for one Pokemon game, dear God, why not this one? Pokken Tournament, a Pokemon fighting game in the
tens que
style
abrir
of
tu uma
Tekken.
stream
That's
para
why
mostrares
the two
isso.
names are combined. I don't know why they didn't just call it Pokemon Tournament. I get the pun they're making, but you do realize the game would do infinitely better if you stop being cute about it. Just do what Ubisoft did, okay? They made a game called Gods and Monsters. That works. Just do that. Isn't it the worst when the working title for a game is better than the final title? Like, I prefer the working titles for Octopath Traveler and Triangle Strategy because they gave me hope for a future that never happened. God, my uncle for putting me through so much misery. If it wasn't for letters, I wouldn't have to know why this pisses me off. You know, just to spite him.
Man, imagina. 10-year celebration, Hunt Showdown. Ei, pá, isso é que era uma stream.
I'm not gonna use letters anymore, but I can damn well use words. And I'm gonna spread them, telling everybody how we're done using letters, and by proxy, titles. Can't be pissed if I can't read. Or I'm dead. So, say goodbye, Mr. Bones, and please welcome... What? Man, I wanna play tennis. What have I done?
E pronto. Espero que tenham gostado disto. Estás a morrer de sono? Também. Fogo, já vais? Damn, that's crazy. Descansa bem. Descansa em paz. Volto já. Estoy de vuelta. What the fuck are these videos? Half in a bag. Oh, I love these guys. But what is this? Half in a bag. I don't know what these movies are.
Half in the bag.
I'm in my underwear.
This book sucks. Want to watch a movie on streaming?
Do I have to leave the house?
No, it's on streaming.
Oh, then yes. What do we got? Oh, let's watch whatever this is. It's the first thing that showed up. Let's watch it.
Quiet!
I can't see. Your fat head's in the way.
Quiet! Well, we just got done watching a movie on streaming. Would you like to watch another movie on streaming?
No, sure. Let's watch another movie.
Let's see what's next.
Okay,
What's this?
okay.
Play.
What is this?
Quiet! I'm trying to watch a movie on streaming. Well, we just got done watching the second movie on streaming. Would you like to watch another movie on streaming?
No, sure. Let's do another movie. We'll watch another one on the streaming. Make it play. You're facing the wrong direction.
Oh my god.
TV's that way.
I thought you were the TV.
No. You gotta point the remote at
What
the
the fuck are they
What?
wearing?
Put the remote at the TV.
What are we doing?
We're gonna watch another movie on streaming.
Another
That's
movie?
the third movie.
Jesus Christ.
We're gonna watch the third movie on streaming now. Let's put it on.
Power. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Vengeance? That movie can't not suck. There's no
Well,
way.
we just got done watching a third movie on streaming. Want to watch a fourth movie on streaming?
No, let's talk about the 3 movies on streaming that we watched. Talk about all 3 movies.
Okay.
It'll be a review extravaganza.
3 movies nobody cares about. One bit.
When we talk about movies that everybody's seen, people say, why don't you talk about some smaller movies? And then we talk about smaller movies, and people say, I've never heard of that movie. Why are you talking about this? It's like we can't win.
They can't.
You want to talk about these 3 streaming movies that nobody gives a shit about?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
But first, I have a cold beverage. You should have a cold beverage, too. Okay, have it.
Cheers, cheers to movies.
I want to watch a movie.
Oh, thank God, this plot device makes me not have to wear this hat and glasses anymore. I suddenly feel less old. Let's talk about films.
All right, let's do it.
I took some steps in setting healthy boundaries and blocked my dad online. He's
Oh,
never
no.
really been there
It's
for
that
me when I needed
comedian?
him, and I'm done with that.
Did you delete your profile? Kind of the main way I was staying in touch with you.
Well, we're talking about...
Hold on. Isto é um vídeo sobre o puto bloquear o pai.
I guess we'll call this the indie movie extravaganza.
Triple feature.
Triple feature of smaller movies, smaller releases.
Mas
I
aquele
guess
não
the
é um
biggest one
famous
is probably
comedian?
The Blumhouse one, right? Because it's Blumhouse.
They go in descending order, and it's interesting. I wanted to point this out to you, Jay.
Okay.
I did a little bit of research. Of course, the biggest out of the 3 films is the B.J. Novak directed film
Is the what now?
Vengeance, which I believe, I looked up the box office for this, and we have to have a quick discussion about this.
Okay.
Vengeance, I think, pulled in, as of today, $3.9 million worldwide. Watcher then comes in the second place with $1.9 million worldwide. I Love My Dad, the Patton Oswalt movie,
É
worldwide
isso, Patton Oswalt, era o nome.
gross $94,000.
Damn, isto é muito baixo, não é? Para cinema? Jesus.
Okay.
And so I'm like, wow, that's not a whole lot of money.
No, it's not.
And I'm like,
But that also doesn't include renting it on streaming for $20 a pop, because these all, I think, were like same day, right? Theater and VOD. Vengeance maybe got a little theatrical window.
And obviously it depends on the width of the theatrical release. I'm
Right.
sure I Love My Dad didn't get 3,000 screens, right?
Right.
Probably a few in some art house theaters. But then does this box office revenue include streaming?
I don't believe it
Because
does,
How
yeah.
do you report that? And I don't know, but is
É
it
que agora,
making
agora muita gente, não só os filmes saem ao mesmo tempo, não só agora muitos filmes, ok, os mais podres, não é? Saem ao mesmo tempo em streaming, como eles, se é como eles dizem, é podre, não conta, não é? Não conta para a box office. Devia contar, não é? Mas pronto. Olha o Pedro Ricardo, é verdade. São mesmo
times it's on
eles.
streaming, right?
Quando eu tenho saudades deles,
I'm gonna
vejo
guess
vídeos
not,
deste
but I
canal.
don't know, 'cause
Não deve ter tido muito dinheiro em streaming anyway. Possível,
they
não
don't
sei.
release those numbers.
Right, and
They don't release any numbers, like that Prey movie.
Mas eu gostava de ver os números disso. Mas segundo o que eles estão a dizer, não dizem nada.
Hulu just
Pois.
said it's the most viewed movie or TV show on our service. It's like, what does that mean?
Ever?
I mean, I don't
Means
I
nothing.
don't doubt that, I guess, but what
Muitas boas noites. Maria, estás boa?
does that mean? They they don't release the numbers, and I guess they don't have to.
Lost
but it makes
brother.
it harder to gauge how well a movie's doing.
yeah. Well, another way to gauge
Eu adoro
its
estes gajos.
exposure, because obviously Like, I found out about I Love My Dad on Twitter. I think I saw Patton tweeted something.
Okay.
That was the way I found out about this.
É um beat. Eles estão sempre. Eles têm
it
constantes
when I
beats. Eu é que não sei. Eu não acompanho o suficiente para saber o que é que está a acontecer na overarching story disto.
Whatever. Amazon Prime, Voodoo.
I guess they're
I
old,
use
no?
Voodoo and people think I'm on the payroll of Voodoo. It's just a really simple app that
Okay.
has, you use Apple.
Yeah.
I just have Voodoo. I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry.
Voodoo's owned by Walmart, which means you're not a shill for Voodoo. You're a shill for Walmart.
It's owned by Walmart.
Voodoo
Yeah.
existe?
Oh, you know,
Existe uma
Which
coisa
makes a
chamada
lot of
Voodoo.
sense when you think about it.
Here's naive old me, and I go, should I rent and or buy this on Amazon Prime, the big conglomerate, or should I give some money to the little guy Voodoo? And here I am giving money to Walmart.
To Walmart.
Well, my opinion has changed a bit, but really I don't care.
Ok.
I just started to pay.
Mano, olha, esta premissa é tão merda. Anyway, mas há de haver.
Online. She's like smart, funny.
Há de haver pessoas que gostem desta premissa. Ah, Maria, tu não sei se estavas aqui, mas a premissa deste filme é que o puto bloqueia o pai nas redes sociais. Está farto de. I don't know, whatever.
Talked to her on the phone and stuff?
Obviously.
I guess we'll talk about I Love My Dad first.
Sure.
We can go in sequential order.
Okay.
The director, James Morosini, I believe is his name.
Director, writer, star.
Yes.
Based on his real life, I guess.
I think so. I think it's
What?
Which muddies my critical opinion of it, but we'll get into
no.
that, I guess.
Yeah, he seems to be mostly an actor. He directed a movie in 2018 called Like a threesome thing.
Okay.
And it's like two dudes that want to have a threesome with a girl, and then, it's like an hour and 15 minutes, and it looks kind of super low budget.
I vow to never leave your side, no matter what. And if things get hard,
I'm confused.
I'll be right there by your side, and I will not leave.
Why is he screaming? Ele não é o David Lynch. Só o David Lynch é que pode gritar no teu ouvido. É a única pessoa que tem esse direito. Não existe mais ninguém no cinema que possa gritar no teu ouvido.
That kind of had like middling reviews. It had one actual critical review. I'm like, so did Patton work with him in the past? Like, how did he just say?
He might have just been attracted to the material because it's kind of a unique story.
Não viste? Eu já vi. Toma, sou mais erudito que tu. Toma, mama boy.
It is, yeah.
Problema, tens que, só vi uma vez, tens que ver para aí 10 para perceber, mas está-se bem. Ou então vês uma vez com o guia ao lado. Tens que ver uma vez o filme, mas com um guia tipo. Estás a ver? Tu tens o guia, depois vês guia.
You want the dad character, because the premise of the movie is.
A Jéssica conheceste num bar. Não estou a ver qual é essa referência, Maria, desculpa.
Is this young guy gets basically catfished by his dad.
His dad is always coming up with excuses to not see him. He's never around. So the son.
Wait, que filme estúpido.
Like defriends him.
Wait,
on
isto é ainda pior. O pai dá catfish ao puto? What the fuck?
Facebook and all social media. So the dad creates an alternate account as a waitress, inspired by a waitress that he met.
Right.
To catfish his own son.
Yes.
And that's the premise of the movie.
Right. So he can keep talking to his son.
Yeah.
So I think.
Portanto, ele bloqueou e depois ele finge que é a Nina que ele quer papar. Uau.
The dad character is.
Foi uma tentativa de piada? Não percebi. Visto a Amélie há uns meses. Insta favorite. Visto Fallen Angels, nunca vi. Eu não vejo filmes.
Well, he's unsympathetic at first, and then the point of the movie is they have their relationship gets stronger towards the end. So I think, like, if you want to cast someone who kind of looks like he could be a sleaze, but is also lovable,
Eu não disse que não é, mas faz-me rir que
cast
tu,
Patton, you know, and who's
que tu gostes.
He's the best
Que é
thing about the
tipo,
movie. His performance.
é tipo o textbook. É que eu estarias à espera. Não, Maria, eu estava a dizer que o David Lynch é a única pessoa que no cinema pode gritar no ouvido de alguém.
Performance is very good.
right.
Quando digo cinema, tipo em Hollywood, ok? É isso que eu estava a dizer.
I'm not perfect.
You're not
I
fucking
just,
perfect.
yeah, I just said I wasn't, okay?
Well,
I'm
you're really
trying.
not.
I'm here now. If I gotta do every little thing for the rest of my life to make up for it, I will.
I don't, and this is when I say things get murky. The main character, who's also the writer-director star, based on his
Olha aí, Aleph. E se conheces a Jéssica, ele vai ao cinema. Eu não quero conhecer Jéssicas. Não sei porquê, há qualquer coisa nesse nome.
real life. He's suicidal. He's had suicide attempts. And if that's real,
Budget
then
Bo Burnham.
it
Oh
makes
my
it
god.
very hard to have any sympathy for Patton Oswalt, because the kid's emotionally unstable, and the things he's doing as far as like catfishing and lying to his son are so awful. And I don't know how accurate it is to real life. And if the movie's anything like real life, then the kid, has kind of mended his relationship with his father, so that's great. But just looking at it as a movie and ignoring the real world aspects of it and how fucked up that situation is to do to someone who's emotionally damaged and suicidal, it's really hard. Even though Patton's performance is good, it's really hard to get on his side.
But if it were just he's
Uau! Patton Oswalt a fazer uma boa performance. Não é que eu acho que ele seja um mau ator. A cena é que ele para mim nem sequer é um ator. Ele para mim é um comedian. Mas pronto, toda a gente é um ator, não é? Naquele
just a
meio.
kid who's in college and his dad is catfishing him because his dad wants to talk to him. And then at the end he finds out, the normal reaction would be, fuck off, you know? The fact that he did have a prior suicide attempt adds so much weight and stakes to Patton's terrible plan for it
I agree with
to
that.
go wrong.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh my God, like, and that's what makes it adds the, because it's a fairly light, simple story, so it almost needs big stakes other than, oh, our relationship is now ruined forever. When before it was just pretty ruined. If it was like his dad and him had a great relationship, and his dad was like, you should start dating some girl, and then he finds a girl and catfishes him, then the stakes are that when he finds out, it's going to ruin their relationship. But at present, their relationship is bad. If he finds out, it would just get worse. But the fact, like that scene when Patton's like panicking because he's going into the diner and blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah, that
And
gets like...
And you're like, I don't know.
Há teorias que dizem que somos todos atores em todas as fases da vida. Acho que tens que elaborar.
Like what this kid's gonna do. And then Patton's ex-wife, Amy, played by Amy Landecker, finds out about it, and then it's just like everything starts unraveling. Good drama.
How did you know that actress's name that plays his ex-wife in the movie? I had no idea who that was.
Amy Landecker.
She looked mildly familiar.
She's in tons of stuff.
Okay.
The reason why I know her name, she's from Chicago. And growing up, my mom would always listen to oldies. And there is a DJ named John Records Landecker.
WLSM, there's kind of a hush all over the world. John Landecker from Chicago with Motown for more people.
And I always remember that name. Then I accidentally discovered one day that she is the daughter of John Records Landecker.
Okay.
So that's how I know her name.
All right.
But yeah, she plays his wife, and then of course Rachel Dratch is in the film. And we should mention that these reviews will be spoiler-filled.
Sure.
Ou não, spoilers para filmes que vamos totalmente ver todos juntos a comer pipocas aqui no sofá, não é, pessoal? Anyway, essa coisa. Isso é tudo muito bonito, de interação simbólica, mas eu tenho a certeza que vocês não me vão dar nenhuma aplicação à vida real. E então é tipo, I don't know. Anyway, continuando.
We're gonna
Spoilers.
jump to the next review if you don't want things spoiled. Yeah, kind of spoiled the ending a little, but I think it's all kind of spelled out in the trailer.
Não, vai ser só, olha, lemos isto num livro. E é isso.
The
E
movie
acabei.
opens with a really great, wonderful little way of introducing Patton's character as a sleaze.
Está a dar o Patton Oswalt.
When the younger version of our main character finds a dog and says, "What if this is somebody's dog that's lost?" And he goes, "Ah, eh." Patton goes, "Eh," and then they see a lost dog poster and he rips it off. So so you're like,
Oh my God.
like it's super off-putting.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a darker movie because of that.
Right.
More of like,
Yeah.
like a Bad Santa kind of grimy tone or something.
Father.
Foda-se.
World's Greatest Dad.
I'm sorry. Yes.
I was thinking of that movie during this a little bit.
Robin.
Quem nunca, Maria?
Robin Williams, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was like, ooh.
That's a great movie.
Also have suicide in it.
Yeah, that's actually probably hard to watch now.
Oh,
This
no.
doesn't get that dark.
It doesn't get dark, and
It has dramatic moments, but I think that's part of my problem too. Is it's like they build up and again, this is based on the movie, not anything with the real life actor, writer, director.
Sure.
If he had suicidal tendencies, I'm glad he's still around.
we're gonna ignore the real life connection.
Yeah, but in the context of the movie, they do build that up as far as like that's the stakes. Like you could completely destroy your son with this fucked up lie you're telling, and then when the truth comes out,
Alguma vez te apareceu filmes da MCU?
that's just kind of the end of it. He just sort of forgives him. It doesn't feel like by the time you get to the ending, it doesn't feel like those stakes they've kind of been abandoned a bit. I didn't feel any sort of dramatic weight after it was revealed as far as what it was doing emotionally to the main character.
And I also was missing a really strong, because to me the movie is about the Patton character. It seems to evenly focus on the son and the dad.
Yeah.
And I think I would have liked to have a little more backstory of why Patton was so like selfish and self-absorbed. And
Yeah.
they have the one backstory with the chess.
Oh yeah.
There's the dog thing in the beginning, but then the chess thing, which was nice. That and they show that shot of him, and he's like, "I do this thing," and it's just like, oh, we've all known people like that.
Right.
And you're like, what do you get out of that? What do you get out
Just
of
cheating people and
But the crux of that is when Patton tries to fix the situation that he's in by doing that exact same thing, which is like pretty much the centerpiece of the movie.
one of the most uncomfortable scenes you'll see in a movie this year.
Yeah. I didn't care about any of that. Like, it's like whatever.
I thought that was all pretty disturbing,
You thought
which is what they were going for, and that's fine. It's just, but that's the apex of how fucked up this situation
Right.
is.
And you
He has to
wanted
perform phone sex with his son. He's using Rachel Dratch as like the middle person.
Bruh.
Yes.
Bruh.
He's copy pasting her like sexual talk so he didn't have to do it himself. I felt like I didn't get deep into his character, Patton's character, where it's like, why is he such a shithead? Why is he so full? Is that just the way he is? And why is he so really obsessed about reconnecting with his son if he's such an asshole in the past? What changed?
Right.
Other than the impetus or whatever in the movie is that the son finally blocks him.
I took some steps in setting healthy boundaries and blocked my dad online.
And that kind of like sets him off. But really some other moment that might have been more like internal or personal, like, because Lil Ray Howard's in it, and he's the comic relief character, obviously, but
He's the one that kind of gives him the idea to.
yeah, indirectly. But
Yeah.
say if Lil Ray Howard's like, "Oh, my son's graduating from high school today," and Patton goes with for some reason, and he sees the son walk and get the diploma, and they're hugging, and he sees like some kind of like
sees how proud the dad is.
How proud the dad is, and then has like a moment where he realizes, like, oh, I don't have that with my own son, you know, and then you have that, and then like a really strong. They have that fight in the hotel room where they're just screaming and yelling, but if there was some sort of like revelation about why he's a shithead, his own dad did this to him, blah 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 blah. Like, there's ways you could beef it up, and it all felt very like, it's an easy watch. And it was good.
That's fine.
But you don't want the takeaway.
Damn,
to
it didn't suck? That's crazy.
be that Patton is smooching his son or some
Bro,
dude,
what the fuck?
and they're like open mouth kissing. You know what I mean? Like that's the talk about kind of stuff, and that's what a lot of the comments were like. Cringe. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's in there. And that was a clever way of doing the texting thing, was the real life person.
I'm glad they didn't do like a lot of movies. They'll just have like the text pop up on the side of the screen. Like, yeah, having when he thinks he's talking to the waitress character, who's actually his dad, he is physically talking to her. That was nice.
The performances all around are good. And of course, everyone loves some Rachel Dratch.
Oh
Where'd you get
no.
those pictures?
Which ones?
The ones of my pussy?
Sempre que eles têm um comediante, vêm logo mais 2 ou 3, tipo. São sempre os mesmos. Fogo.
I like them.
Yeah, you like them?
They turn me on.
She's very funny in this. That deadpan.
She's great.
Just looks miserable. Like, yeah, she's great.
Open your mouth. Wider. Wider.
It's a pleasant movie that never gets a little deeper like I would have liked it to.
What is your motivation here? What's your end goal? And he doesn't really have one.
Yeah.
And then, of course...
Well, and then the final, like, when everything comes to light, it's because he's been pushed to the point where he has no choice but to reveal everything, as opposed to doing it on his own, which would have made him a more kind of, I don't know, sympathetic... Him taking the initiative to finally tell the truth.
Yeah.
He just kind of keeps saying, "Oh, I'll do it eventually. I'll get around to it," and he never does. So you don't have that character growth that
What an asshole.
maybe made the character a little more sympathetic.
The son, he's like the straight man. He's the MacGuffin, the fucking story. He's the thing that doesn't really need to change or do anything. He's
supposed to instigate change in the father character.
He's the plot device.
Yeah.
And the father character is what we need. We need flashbacks. We need backstory. We need internalization. We need him to. We need a reason why he just stopped giving a fuck about his son and blowing him off. What was he doing, other than pervy stuff with Rachel Dratch? Obviously, he had a divorce. But what was he doing that was so important? Like, just working?
Eu, por mim, eu também gosto, mas eu gosto quando varia. Gosto que uns acabem bem e outros não acabem bem. E gosto de não saber como é que vai acabar.
I don't know.
Wanted that.
Yeah. But knowing that it's based on a true story, a fascinating story.
Sure. Your dad catfishes you.
To such an extent that he has to have phone sex with you.
I hope that stuff didn't really happen.
I don't know.
That sounds like artistic liberty.
Just for the sake of coming up with a memorable scene.
Maybe, yeah. That's that.
That's that movie. It's on streaming. You can watch it.
Leca. Sim, o cinema americano é muito criar um monstro e depois matar o monstro e depois dizer quem é este. I mean, é reflexo da cultura, é reflexo que eles querem fazer. Tipo, imagina ir ao Afeganistão e assim, ir ao Iraque, ir aos Vietcongs. Que filmes chineses é que eu já vi? Geralmente os filmes chineses são diferentes, não há um monstro. Aliás, o monstro geralmente é o main character e E é tipo, o main character geralmente tem que ficar um monstro para conseguir enfrentar o sistema. É tipo um sistema overwhelming que mata toda a gente. Não é? A ideia que eu tenho, geralmente os chineses são mais assim. Não sei mais. Franceses é só tipo, I don't know, estão só quietos a falar num comboio. Eu não sei o que raios é que os franceses querem. Com licença.
Și tu? You don't speak Romanian.
Watcher, I thought it was great.
No, but it's a really well-made movie that we've kind of seen a lot of before. It's a good movie. I liked it a lot, but it is like character's being stalked and no one believes her. It's a trope we've seen a million times, but it's really.
Se calhar viver mais cinema francês, porque eles falam muito sobre, I don't know, condição humana ou whatever. Muitas vezes parece que os filmes não têm um propósito, mas Mas já viu a Amélie quando tinha para aí 2 meses? Agora já não me lembro, não é? Tinha para aí 2 meses.
It just stays so focused, and it's very like.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, it's very like methodical and straightforward in a way that works as far as building the tension goes, and making you kind of feel like you're in the shoes of the character.
Não, depois fica intelectual, caraças.
Mika Monroe, who I haven't seen in a little while. She was in It Follows and The Guest, like back to back.
A couple other small things, I think.
Do you remember she played the president's daughter in Independence Day 2? Because they had there was the little girl in the original movie, and even though that little girl grew up to be a working actress, they didn't cast her for Independence Day 2.
That's weird.
I forgot about that.
Unfortunately.
Why?
For that actress. But,
I thought that was Millie Bobby Brown.
That's the Godzilla movies.
Whatever. Who gives a fuck?
But no, she's what kind of holds the whole movie together. She's really good. She's very like natural and understated, not very show-offy.
Your typical indie actress.
Yeah, sure.
Typical indie actress? Estou interessado nela.
Not like super famous to where she's not a Sandra Bullock in the role. Of course, Sandra Bullock would be too old to play that role. But,
Sandra Bullock. It Follows é um filme fixe. Ok.
A young couple moves to Romania as an American audience. That's also adds a nice layer of uncomfortableness to it because
her kind of isolation.
He's working some kind of job doing something, and she has to live in this apartment by herself, and she's in a country when she doesn't speak the language, and some people speak English, but a lot of them just don't.
And it's not subtitled, which is great.
Yes, and so
hey, that's cool.
Kind of like, and it's if it took place in like
Lost in Translation 2,
Los Angeles or something, it would have a completely different feel.
Well, and a lot of people have that kind of anxiety of like going to another country where you don't speak the language, and that frustration and feeling of loneliness and
moving there and not knowing anybody.
Yeah. So that adds a lot.
Vou ser honesto, eu adorava fazer isso. Eu acho que Braga não foi longe o suficiente. Acho que devia ir para a Escandinávia, assim.
Do it. Which is why it's a little more forgivable, because it has that trope of like, oh, nobody believes her, and it works better in this movie than it does in other movies because of that. It's like, you're just paranoid because you're in
Vas embora?
a new country with a bunch of people you don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Like, I know what you're saying, but I didn't get that strong of a vibe. I felt
para Lisboa, estás a passar, man.
Like it was fairly grounded realistically, where it was, the husband was like, "What?" Like, "What's going on?" And
he's not comically dismissive
he's not
the way more like a bigger budget mainstream movie would be.
Exactly.
Colocamos uma casa
like,
muito.
The guy followed you into the grocery.
Fazemos uma gamer house e jogamos League of Legends o dia todo. Por dinheiro.
Store, we can go. Maybe they'll show us the security cam footage.
And he tries.
He tries a little bit.
They involve the police, and the police go over there, and they're like, what's going on? And but it had that kind of like, I don't know. At first I was like, why aren't you getting drapes? Why aren't you getting drapes? Address the drapes. Address the drapes. Every 2 minutes.
Address the drapes.
And then I think they get drapes.
Yeah. Eventually, right?
Wow.
Well, it becomes more than just the guy. I mean, that's a creepy image anyway. Just like looking out the window and someone's just staring at you.
Bro, isso é muito. Não sei cantar.
Stalker situation. It kind of escalates very slowly, which I liked.
Very slowly.
Well, that's like I said. It's so simple. It's
a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah. A little bit of Hitchcock. A little bit of Roman Polanski, Rosemary's Baby kind of stuff.
She's like watching through the window at the goings on and all the apartments and
like Rear Window, yeah.
No, I was thinking of the birds.
Oh, of course.
Because some birds landed on the roof.
Oh.
Bro.
Tension, and then the neighbor, and then we have a little in connection with vengeance. We have Chekhov's gun, literal Chekhov's gun, paralyzation.
There's this playwright, Anton Chekhov, and he says that if there's a gun in Act 1 of a play...
There's no guns in any one of these plays I can think of. Cherry Orchard, no. Uncle Vanya,
I'm not
no.
actually that familiar with this plays. I'm more familiar with this theory.
In this, when the neighbor woman shows her that she's got a gun in the drawer.
I thought that was weird in the movie when she kept pointing at the gun and doing that.
I really liked the ending. It was very brutal and twisted and not dramatized. I don't think they had music, and it was just really blunt and horrific.
There was a moment where I thought it was going to get dark ending. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if they went that dark.
I figured this would be right up your alley, something like this.
I liked it, yeah.
Especially the director's credentials.
Well, I looked her up. Is this her first feature?
Yes, the other thing was 21 minutes. It was a short.
Well, she did one of the segments for the most recent VHS movie, VHS 94.
Okay.
She directed a segment in that about a giant rat monster that lives in the sewers named Ratma.
Okay, why don't we cut to commercial? Jesus fucking Christ!
I don't know what this is. Looks cool.
So I'd seen that. That's the only...
Well, in 2014, she made a short for some kind of horror festival, and it's like a grindhouse-looking... there's a trailer, and it's very grindhousey, and I think it looks like it's shot on film. Takes place in the 80s or 70s. It's called and it's about a girl in Texas who gets the attention of a serial stalker.
Oh, okay. It's a little connection to this movie.
Similar, woman in trouble by a creep.
Damn.
I think this is the film that I noted the sound was very, very raw sounding.
I noticed early on, I think it's their first night in the apartment, they're laying in bed having a conversation, and it's raining outside, and the sound design, the rain is just a little bit louder than it would be in a more conventional movie.
When do you have to wake up tomorrow?
Early.
Wake me up before you leave, okay?
Well, I think it was almost all live audio.
Stale peanuts and sweaty strangers.
Why did you think I didn't like the place?
Because you smile too much.
Damn, I'm scared.
Francis, was it him?
Because they're moving around the apartment, it's rustling and creaking and very loud, noisy soundtrack.
Yeah, and it could just be a lot of Foley to give it that sound. I don't know.
It wasn't creaking floor, the Foley that you would do. It was like that sound that shouldn't be there. You ever listen to like the scratch tracks from like TV shows?
Oh, sure,
where it's like on everything. That there was a lot of stuff like that in this movie, and I liked that because it didn't seem as polished as like you just wipe it clean and ADR everything and then add in music and a couple little sounds.
Everything felt really natural.
It was like a classy kind of thriller. It felt old school, like almost like a throwback.
Yeah.
I think it was the fact that it was in a foreign country and there wasn't cell phones and Twitter and TVs and like it's like noir-esque because you got the neighbor who's like she's like a stripper or something and she's just like, let me tell you about.
It's pretty cool.
My stripping. And I have a gun.
Well, and then there's scenes where Maika Monroe's wandering around the streets at night by herself, and it's got kind of a noir feel to it as well.
Right. She's investigating a mystery. She's trying to solve a mystery.
Oh.
So I think to me it's a winner. I really enjoyed it. It was nice film. Nice film.
Acho que vou ficar por aqui. Acho que não vou ver o terceiro coisa. Este é que é o Vengeance.
Now, let's move on to Threat Level Midnight.
Isto provavelmente é funny and stuff. Mas acho que vou indo só para descansar ou whatever. Ainda é cedo? A que horas é que trabalhas amanhã? Ui, então tens que ir descansar, meu. Eu amanhã às 9 já tenho que estar aqui sentado. Quando for deitar vou ler o Phantom of the Opera. Fazes bem. Eu também devia ler antes de me deitar. Mas pronto. Não é nada que eu tenha um cão para levar à rua antes disso. Que me acorda antes da hora. Portanto, não é 5 minutos. E nem sequer como. Tenho preciso descansar e lavar o rabinho. Está sujo? Então, acompanhasses streams em que eu estou a fazer um... Olha, eu devia ter... Eu pensei em fazer isso hoje, mas depois acabei por ficar a ver vídeos. Acompanhasses streams em que estou a fazer a inventar um Space Invaders de memória. O teu rabinho está impec. Ok. Não duvido. Eu é que tenho de lavar o meu. Ok. Mas pronto, portem-se mal. Até amanhã. Vou tentar estar de volta. Vamos ver. E boa sorte para tudo que forem fazer amanhã. Ok? Beijinhos. Durmam bem. Sonhem comigo.